Before wasting time, I'm just going to start my topic. Sir, my audio is audible properly?
Yes, sir. You are audible,
Yeah,
sir.
sir. Okay. Okay. Thank you. So, as we all know, after breast cancer surgeries, there are a lot of musculoskeletal and other problems are there because of radiation or chemotherapy and mastectomy and all of surgical procedure. So usually patients suffer some musculoskeletal disorders or some lymphedema, and here we are today we are coming for to discuss all physiotherapeutic interventions including lymphedema management and musculoskeletal disorders. I will not go in detail for that musculoskeletal disorder that I know you all are the very good physiotherapists. You all know that. Uh, I'm bit you can say in short for musculoskeletal and detail in lymphedema. But before going to a treatment, when we go to the patient, before start the treatment, we should plan. We should plan in various ways. Before touching any patient, we must go for psychological counsel because as per my own experience, when I go to the patient, most of the post-cancer patients are in the depression or some you can say that in reduced psychological state और मोस्ट ऑफ द पेशेंट का कहना होता है कि नहीं साहब अब हमारी ज़िंदगी में कुछ नहीं बचा अब हमें आगे कुछ नहीं करना वाट एवर तो और आफ्टर वेरी मच expenses of this cancer surgery and treatment even patient and his attendants are not interested to create more expense on to consult with a psychologist. So nowadays psychological counseling is also a part of our field. So as a physiotherapist, we are working as a psychological therapist also. Another one is education because when we go to treatment, we can't stay with the patient 24 into 7. We must teach the patient or the patient's attenders the different way of treatment, this different way of self-management. So the patient can go with this and patient can manage herself. Other thing is nutrition. I know nutrition is not our part; it's a dietitian part. But in some interventions, some patient or in some hospitals, especially in rural areas, there are no dietitian are available. So nutrition is nowadays also our part of practice. So especially in lymphedema patient, because as we all know that lymphedema is a protein-rich edema. In this type of edema, protein is much. So we can advise that patient to avoid protein-rich diet. And there are certain other dietary nutrition supplements which can help to promote that healing process. And at last, our most important part is exercise training. As a physiotherapist, we all know many type of ROM exercise, strengthening exercise. So we can passively do this, and we can teach the patient to do those type of exercise. In short, we must make a plan before starting the treatment. But when we work as a physiotherapist, we go with two approaches of treatment. These are musculoskeletal and lymphedema. After both of these treatment, we can go for a complete recovery of treatment. If we discuss about common musculoskeletal disorders, there are many types of musculoskeletal disorders. It may be glenohumeral joint syndrome, rotator cuff injury, scapular winging, glenohumeral joint adhesive capsulitis, lateral epicondylitis. Because of surgery in breast, most of the time shoulder is affected because of some pectoral muscle and serratus anterior muscle is interrupted in this type of surgery. So shoulder problems are much common. But in all these conditions, three problems are mainly affect the shoulder after the breast cancer surgery. These are rotator cuff tendinitis, adhesive capsulitis, and trapezius myalgia syndrome. I'm not going in detail for that, but as we all know, rotator cuff tendinitis, in simple word, we can say it is the inflammation of the rotator cuff tendon, And adhesive capsulitis, range of motion of the shoulder is reduced due to the less use or unuse of shoulder movement. And in trapezius myalgia syndrome, it's basically tension of shoulder and neck, so between shoulder and neck region due to the and rupture of the greater trapezius muscle. So all these are basically the limits the shoulder movement or create the pain at the shoulder joint. But the question is why this type of problem occur in shoulder, because the surgery was done at the shoulder region, then why it happens? So it may be because of radiation. As we all know, after breast cancer surgery, patients go for radiation for long time, which can create many type of stiffness or limited joint movement because of scarring. Scarring is also a common symptom after this oncosurgery. And then postural imbalance. Now, this is a bit confusing. Why postural imbalance come in the breast cancer surgery? Because as earlier we अभी हमारे डॉक्टर अग्रवाल ने जब 4 o'clock वाले सेशन में आपको बताया कि pectoral muscle is mainly involved in this type of surgery, and when pectoralis major and minor are incised, or sometimes they stretch that muscle. Due to this stretch, the muscle got weakened, or because of incision muscles working are affected. Because of this, scapular winging happen. This scapular winging protract the shoulder forwardly, and because of this forward posture, just like a Parkinson forward, uh, this creates the postural imbalance in some patients, not all patients, but in some patients, it creates postural imbalance. Another and very common picture is weakness. After a long time of chemotherapy or radiation or surgery, most of the patient complaints of weakness uh, just because of medication and another problem. And as I discussed earlier, the pectoralis muscle is affected mainly, which creates many type of shoulder problems. Then the most interventions of the cancer affect the pectoralis major muscles. Is it may include the removal of anterior fascia required for the cancer excision, dissection of the muscle and underlying rib to provide access to the blood vessel for vascularization of the surgical flap. This is the main reason why the pectoralis muscle is affected mainly to arrange this surgical flap. Elevation of the muscle to create the pocket with subsequent expansion to receive a breast implant. To arrange this breast implant, the surgeon must create a pocket between the ribs and between that pectoralis muscle. This also create a tension on the pectoral muscle. Full release of the part uh, full release of part of attachment of the muscle to prevent upward migration of the breast implant, facilitate expansion of the lower pole of the reconstructed breast. Radiation therapy may also adverse effect in the pectoralis muscle. Usually it creates burn at the pectoral area. Then the most common symptom, or you can see, this is the cording. Cording means there is a scar tissue at the armpit, which is a band-like structure. We feel that a tightened band which inflamed that armpit. It is not harmful, but many times it creates pain, and because of this pain and stiffness, the arm limits the movement. And by some sort of deep friction massage, we can regulate it. We can easily cure it by the deep friction massage very gently. Here's some do's and don'ts of the treatment approaches. As a myofascial release is the main approach of treatment for shoulder problems. It mainly helps to remove the scar tissues, which improve the range of motions. But when we got a normal frozen shoulder patient, usually we go for range of motion exercises with some passive stretching. But in post-operative breast cancer patients, we don't go with vigorous stretching. We do slight stretching along with myofascial release. So these patient takes more time than the normal frozen shoulder patient. We can't go with vigorous stretching. In acute cases, we can't go with our electrotherapy, which can stimulate the cancer tissues, and we can't go for with heat modalities. If patient complains the sometimes pains, we can use ice, but not heat modality. It can also spread the cancer tissues. If lymphedema is present, the primary lymphedema management, what we do by bandaging and MLD, is essential, and some sort of range of motion exercise, which is our part of normal exercise, and strengthening exercises also helps to relieve the musculoskeletal disorders. Here some common exercise, as we all know, that bend exercise, elbow winging, shoulder blade stretch, shoulder blade squeeze, and side bending, chest wall stretch, and some other exercises are there. So as we all know, these are the some range of motion exercises which we can prescribe the patient. We can passively done these exercise, and we can teach the patient to do all these exercises twice or thrice a day per day. Then the main question is why lymphedema occurs in these type of cases. Because as we all know, after the question comes, why this lymphedema come if we go for surgery, if we go for radiation. So the answer is very simple, by removal of lymph node from the affected area. Because when a patient go for surgery, if there is a complete mastectomy or a lumpectomy, the removal of that area, remove of the lymph node from that area is very common, and this mainly creates the lymphedema, because remove lymph node are the main medium of circulation of lymph at the circulatory system, and if that lymph nodes are removed from that area, the lymphedema develops at that area. So, but before going to that lymphedema, we just go a short history of lymphatic system. So lymphatic system, as we all know, that this is the part of our circulatory system which works as an accessory route by which lymph fluid from the tissue is returned back to the main bloodstream. In simple word, we can say when our blood flow in our circulatory system, there is some objects come out from the blood vessels at the interstitial spaces, and these particles are absorbed by the lymphatic vessels of the lymphatic system, which absorb this fluid and return back to the main bloodstream or at the heart level. So basically, it is our accessory route which usually absorb fluid from the interstitial spaces. But lymphatic system is not a closed system. Like in our circulatory system, it starts from the heart and ends at the heart. But in a lymphatic system, there are some finger-like projection of the lymphatic vessels which present at the interstitial space to collect that fluid, and they are attached by the several lymph nodes. There is a vast network of lymphatic vessels and lymph nodes, and which helps to circulate the fluid and circulate that fluid to the main bloodstream. There are many components of lymphatic system. Mainly it is divided into two: primary and secondary. The In primary, there is bone marrow and thymus gland, and in secondary, there are lymph nodes, spleen, and tonsils. There are, as I said earlier, this is a conducted network of lymphatic vessels. There are thousands of lymphatic vessels present in the whole body from the time of birth, and it they mainly circulate the lymph fluid. The function of lymphatic system. The main function of our lymphatic system is collection and transportation of the tissue from fluid from the intercellular spaces of all the body tissue back to the venous system. The main work of our lymphatic system is to lymph filtration. There are many fatty acids transported from the digestive system. So it mainly work for our immune system to produce antigen and lymphocytes, and many microorganisms or foreign particles are removed by that lymphatic system also. There is some collection mechanism, as I told you, that it is a one-way system, and the finger-like projection which starts blindly in the interstitium. In this picture, you can see how the uh, particles are absorbed by the lymphatic vessel and circulated to the bloodstream. The main work of this lymphatic system to remove the debris or the harmful material from the body. Before going to the lymphatic management or manual lymph drainage, we must know the boundaries of the lymphatic system. In this picture, you can see there is a sagittal line and two horizontal lines. These are the imaginary lines which is called the lymphatic watersheds. These lines divides the body from left to right, and uh, in as we all know, we have three type of lymph nodes: the cervical lymph node, axillary lymph node, and inguinal lymph node. And if we have a, if the patient have the left side of lymphedema, so if these lymph nodes are not working, then we must move that lymph from left side to right side, and from axillary lymph node to left inguinal lymph node. For this, we must know from where and from how these lymphs should move. So there you can see these lines. These are the anastomoses. In simple word, these are the borders of our body, that from one area to another area, we must move the lymph. So to move this, we must know the anastomose. These lines are anastomose, and uh, between these two horizontal lines are called lymphatic territories. So from one territory to another territory, when we move the lymph, the traveling medium is called anastomosis. So to move that limb by a manual limb drainage, we must know the anastomose. So when we do this left to right, this is called axillary anastomose. इन सिंपल वर्ड, जब एक एक्जिला से दूसरी एक्जिला की एक्जिलरी लिम्फ नोड की तरफ हम लिम्फ को मूव करते हैं, दैट इज कॉल्ड एक्जिलरी लिम्फ एनास्टोमोस. एंड जब सेम साइड एक्जिलरी लिम्फ नोड से हम उसको इंग्वाइनल लिम्फ नोड की तरफ मूव करते हैं, दैट इज कॉल्ड एक्जिलो इंग्वाइनल एनास्टोमोस. So we can move that lymph in both the directions. Now, here comes the lymphedema. Lymphedema is an abnormal accumulation of the water and protein, principally in subcutaneous tissues, when the transportation capacity of the lymphatic system has fallen below the normal capacity of draining the lymphatic flows. In normal edema, there is only water, but in lymphedema, there is abnormal accumulation of the water along with protein. And when the transportation of this lymph fluid is affected or affected, and the lymph transportation capacity of the lymphatic system is fallen below, that means in a given time of period, the lymph is not moved between two lymph nodes, or this time is increased, or sometimes the lymph is not moving forward. This creates the lymphedema due to the draining in the lymph nodes. Here you can see some examples of lymphedema. There are many patients with lymphedema. There are lower limb and upper limb, both type of lymphedema are there. This is the third stage of lymphedema, or worst stage of lymphedema, which is basically called lymphostatic elephantiasis. This lady got the bilateral lymphostatic elephantiasis. Before going forward, we must know the difference between edema and lymphedema. As I said earlier, edema is normally the accumulation of the water only, but in lymphedema, this is the abnormal accumulation of the protein and water in the interstitial spaces. Edema is just a symptom. patient got strain and any type of renal or cardiac problem, the patient got edema just like a symptom. But in lymphedema, this is a disease. This is a disease of lymphatic system due to the abnormal some problem in the lymph nodes. In lymphedema, there is a mechanical insufficiency of the lymphatic system, but in edema, there is a dynamic venous insufficiency. So there is a big difference between edema and lymphedema. Now, the stages of lymphedema. First stage is stage 0 or non-visible or latency stage. In this stage, the patient complains the heaviness or pain or some other problems in the limb, but there is nothing to visible. No edema is there, nothing to there. In my own experience, I have right now I have two patients who are 75 plus, and after 20 years or 22 years, he got the lymphedema. On between this period, these patients complaints of upper limb pain. On most of the time, the allopathic doctor considered it like tennis elbow or cervical or shoulder pain and many other musculoskeletal problems, and they treat them just like that. After 20 years, when they got edema or regular 24 into 7 edema, then the problem is diagnosed as lymphedema. That's why in these 20 years of period, the patient was in latency stage or non-visible stage of lymphedema. Then the second stage is stage 1 or mild or spontaneously reversible. This is also a bit confusing stage because at the daytime patient got edema, but at the night time when patient don't move, the edema resolves. Where in daytime, when we put the finger or thumb at the patient limb, there is a sign. There is a sign, or for 2 or 3 seconds, this is called pitting sign. Basically, it is called pitting edema also. So, sometime in normal type of edema, this is all pitting. This pitting edema is also common. So here also most of the doctors are confused. Is it normal edema or is it lymphedema? Now the third stage is stage 2 or moderate or spontaneously irreversible lymphedema. This is the most common stage of lymphedema. Most of the patient with lymphedema comes to lymphatic therapist come with this stage. In this stage, we do the steamer sign test. We just pinch at the middle of the